Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Xelik podcast. This is podcast number 5. I'm with Zane Gallagher again, and I'm Noah. The four things that we're going to be talking about today are going to be some reminiscing on the past of our former selves, figuring out what our biggest struggles are personally, abs, and organic versus non-organic produce. So I'm going to start out with the first question for you, Zane. My question for you is, what is one thing that you struggle with the most when it comes to your personal fitness
Hmm. The one thing that I currently struggle with or struggled?
currently?
The one thing that I currently struggle with. I think my struggle is probably the same as 99% of other people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, where hitting the gym really I mean, I remember in high school, I would go to the gym 7 days a week, an hour and a half, 2 hours a session. And I definitely wouldn't recommend that. I think that rest days are important, and especially when you have a lot of other stressors in life. But in high school, when all we had to do was go to class and do a little bit of homework and then lift weights and then play video games and hang out with friends outside of that, there's just not too many other stressors in life. And I think as you get older, jobs weigh on you, relationships, you have to run errands, you have a lot more stressors and a lot more things that fatigue you. And so I think that going to the gym less and having more rest days, sleeping more, things like that are important as you get older. But I think my struggle would be the same as 99% of people, where it's easy to make excuses and say, oh, I worked 12 hours today, or I have to go do X, Y, Z, and schedule, just sticking to a schedule, I think solves that problem for me. But yeah, that would be my struggle because all the knowledge of nutrition and fitness, I feel pretty good about. Obviously, there's always room for us to grow and become better coaches, more knowledgeable about nutrition and fitness. But I mean, if you can just master your schedule, I feel like that's 90% of people's problem, and then 10% of it is the actual what you're doing, what you're eating, things like that. But if you can just stay consistent and get better over time, I mean, you'll trend in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of took my response. My biggest struggle right now is a discipline routine that can be consistent, but I find myself with less and less time, and so trying to optimize what I'm doing in the gym while still, taking some time to rest and recover when necessary.
100%. What is your rule of thumb for, and this wasn't one of the topics, but just kind of a follow-up question on this topic. What's your rule of thumb for, let's say I actually had this happen this morning, and so I was thinking about this. Gonna go in, smash legs, train until failure, lift really heavy, and then I woke up this morning and I was just exhausted and my body just wasn't having it. What's your rule of thumb on days where you're just not feeling 100%?
Yeah, I try to judge my performance based off of my sleep. Also, what your body is telling you. I mean, for women especially, it's really important that they listen to their body depending on their cycle and how they're feeling. It's good to listen to your body and the signals that it's giving to you, especially based off of metrics that you can understand of like how much quality of sleep did I get, how hydrated am I, all that stuff. But one of the best metrics is um, I always forget the name of this thing. It's like a dynamometer or something like that. It's just like a grip strength test. So anytime I'm feeling like I am not 100% or I'm weak or I just don't want to lift, I'll test how strong I am with that thing. And if it's below my average, I have a baseline. If it's below my average, then I'll take it easier at the gym. But if it's at or above baseline, then I'll typically just try and push myself and just tell myself that's probably like a mental block or I'm just a little out of it, foggy, whatever else.
I like that. Yeah, having metrics that you can actually test to reassure whether it's a feeling or whether it's your body actually saying that it needs time to recover. That's good. Can't manage what you can't measure.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are your
Um,
thoughts on? Did you have a follow-up question on that?
no, no, go ahead.
What are your thoughts on organic versus non-organic produce? I've heard, and even organic versus non-organic beef. I've heard a lot of there's this guy, Train Bloom, and he says that like something that should go out the door is buying organic produce instead of non-organic produce because it's all the same. But obviously, in my nutrition classes, I was taught organic produce is better than non-organic for XYZ reason. What are your thoughts? Does it make a difference, and what do you purchase?
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference. I don't think it makes like an 80 to 90% difference. It's definitely splitting hairs for the most part. Most people could eat much more healthier in general, but if you are picking between the two and you have somebody who eats complete whole foods on both ends and one of them eats organically and one of them doesn't, the one that eats organically is going to have a healthier metabolism, a better cellular function, and just be healthier overall. Specifically because the organic food that you're eating is not as processed as the non-organic food, meaning that there's not as much human intervention, the things not sprayed on it, there's no chemicals involved. It's directly from the earth as much as it can be, and it's fed food. If it's an animal, it's fed food from the earth, and it's not farmed and fed some bulk mass-produced diet that's going to have bad effects of certain like soy or there's a big talk right now on the Vital Farms on linoleic acid and what they feed their chickens. So it does make a difference. One of my favorite sayings is, "You're not what you eat; you're what you eat eats." And so it does play a factor as to what food you're getting, what food you're consuming from an organic, animal whole food basis, as well as vegetables and fruits, especially. A lot of endocrine disrupting, harmful hormone disrupting chemicals inside of fruits and vegetables. And if you're not going the organic route, you're going to get either GMO based fruits and vegetables, or you're going to get chemical based fruits and vegetables that may not be horrible for you, but aren't as good as something that is organic and natural.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a good point there where the average person's barrier to eating foods, they just look at what they're currently eating, which is like mac and cheese and, tuna helper or whatever, and then they look at that, and then they look at organic apples and organic broccolini, and they go, "Oh, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing right now," rather than just buying more fruit, buying more vegetables, going with the cheaper route, because then they go, "Oh yeah, organic everything, that's just so expensive." It's like, well, you would still be significantly better than you are right now if you got the non-organic fruits and vegetables, because then you at least wouldn't be eating tuna helper or as much of it. You'd be getting micronutrients, But I think people always go, "I'm at this extreme. I need to get to this extreme. I'm not going to do that because it's way expensive, and that's how I'm going to justify my decisions."
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain level or threshold of like barrier to entry that 80% of the general pop doesn't even hit. And so they start looking on social media for all these tips and tricks of, oh, I need to be eating completely organic versus non-organic versus whatever. And then you get people that tout saying it doesn't matter, which in a sense is true for the general pop. But when it comes down to like, I hate using this word, the science of it or the truth of it, then yeah, you want to be transparent about it. But most people need to kind of check the box on the basics first before they get all caught up in the nitty-gritty.
100%. Yeah, that's good.
So my next question is kind of reminiscing on the past, thinking back a little bit as well. Knowing what you know now, your education, your experience coaching hundreds of clients, your background in nutrition, what's one thing that you would tell your younger self about fitness and nutrition?
I would say stop working out so much. Genuinely, and that sounds counterintuitive, but I was a skinny guy getting a ton of steps in, football practice, whatever. I was literally putting olive oil in my shakes to try and just put on muscle because I was burning so many calories. And a lot of people in their 20s and their 30s, oh, my metabolism isn't the same as it was when I was a kid. Well, when you were a kid, you would wake up, you'd walk in between your classes, you had a weightlifting class, and then afterwards you're running around with friends, you had recess, and you were burning so much. And that's why your metabolism isn't the same when you're 35 years old, is because you sit at a desk all day, and then you sit and watch Netflix, and in between that you're sitting down in your car, so like, of course your metabolism isn't the same. You're not burning as many calories because you are sitting all day long, whereas a kid, you're running all day long, right? But for me, I was a skinny guy, and I just could not eat enough to sustainably put on muscle. And so it didn't register in my mind at that point in time that I could just burn less calories and lift, 3 or 4 days a week as opposed to 7 days a week. And then I do all these accessory movements where really I should have at that point in time, if I wanted to optimize for muscle gain, I should have done compounds, some curls every once in a while, some accessory lifts every once in a while. But I would spend two hours in the gym 7 days per week, burning so many calories, and I was working against my own goals because I just didn't know better. So now a skinny guy comes to me, I tell him, hey, we need to just have you eat more, and your bench, squat, deadlift, rows, those just need to go up. You need to get stronger. Like, do those 3 days per week, eat more calories, and you will put on weight. You'll put on muscle more significantly, and you'll save time in the gym for someone who's in their 20s and 30s and is limited by their time.
Totally agree. It's crazy when people want more results, they have to do less sometimes.
For sure. Yeah. This kind of ties into I have a client who was losing weight pretty consistently, and then she plateaued, and so we brought up her calories for a few weeks, and then dropped her right back down, and now she's broken her plateau. She's lost 3 or 4 more pounds just because we took a break from dieting. And so oftentimes, yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen it before when people have been. This is definitely the minority of people because most people do just need to eat less and then exercise more in order to lose weight. But for people that have genuinely been trying for months, sometimes they do just need to take a little bit of a break and, eat at their maintenance for a while, just to make sure that their hormones are in a good place before they go back to dieting. And then they have great results after that.
Yeah, 100%.
What are your thoughts on, Noah? Do you think, I hear a lot that abs are made in the kitchen, and I always say that abs are made in the gym and revealed in the kitchen. But then there's definitely a lot of people who say that you don't need to train core. All you have to do is your compound movements, like squats, for example. Those work your core enough. Do you train abs, and if so, why?
To answer your question, yes, I train abs. I think it depends on what type of structure of abs you want. Like you can actually kind of manipulate the type of ab structure that you want if you just want to focus on like straight and linear abs, not really get much of your obliques. You can do specific exercises that are like just lower to upper middle abs, as opposed to like the blocky abs that some people kind of like despise. If you get, linebackers, football players, people that do squat really heavy and do a lot of like weight bearing from compound movements like that, like deadlift and squat, and they get a lot more blocky abs. And some people don't like that, like visual. Most people are fighting to understand, well, how can I get my abs to show in the first place? And yeah, to your point, abs are revealed in the kitchen. If you're eating horribly, it doesn't matter if you do 1,000 sit-ups a day, you're not going to have abs. You can be really low body fat percentage and still basically have abs because they're going to be there. So that's 90% of the battle. If you're squatting and weight training and doing a lot of compound movements, your abs should show for the most part. But if you want them to be a highlight point in your physique, then yes, you should be training abs. I train them maybe 3 times a week, just at the end, like most people do. I've even had some of my clients do them to start their exercises, just to kind of connect to them so that they can feel them throughout the rest of their workout. Again, this isn't like extreme fatigue. You don't want to fatigue your abs to the point where you're weak now and you can't even brace your core when you're squatting or throughout the rest of your exercises. But if you can kind of prime them and get them firing so that they're engaged within certain exercises, that can also be helpful to, we'll say, intermediate level individuals that are trying to exercise. That can be extremely helpful too. But I can get a lot out of 1 to 2 exercises of abs at the end of the day. But they are made they're made in the gym and revealed in the kitchen. If you want abs, you must be low body fat percentage, no matter what.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think abs fit in the same category as calves, where I I have my clients hit them at the beginning of their workouts because I would just see time and time and time again that they would get to the end of their lifts and then they would skip their abs or they would skip calves, and so now I actually have them do them like before.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things where they're like, oh, I'm not lean enough. I don't need to work on my abs for another like 5% body fat. But if you start building them right now, then, when you get down to 10% body fat, then you'll see them. But like sometimes people just don't even have enough muscle there for it to show at 10%. So they've got to get way lean in order for their abs to show because they just haven't, built the bricks, so to speak, in terms of their abs.
Yeah. If you're low body fat percentage and you want better abs, then yeah, go train abs, go do more rotational movement, go do some weighted ab exercises. A lot of people think ab exercises are just body weight crunches, body weight that. Like if you put weight behind something and then you crunch your entire body, you do like leg lifts with weight, that's going to develop your abs really, really quick. Your abs are a muscle just like your biceps and any other muscle in your body. So you need to have resistance against them to get them stronger.
100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah.
say calves, abs, and forearms are the three most neglected muscle groups by far in any programming.
For sure. Yeah. I don't even hit forearms, to be honest with you.
Nobody does. If you're strong, if you're lifting heavy enough, you shouldn't have to because like your grip strength will improve from the exercises themselves. You don't need to
For
be,
sure.
unless you want like menacing forearms or something like that. Then yeah, you can do some exercises, but your day to
Yeah.
day or your training itself should give you enough grip strength for it.
Yeah. Even like doing shrugs, holding 120s, for example, I consider that forearm work. And then deadlifts, rows, T-bar rows, heavy pull downs, even, I mean, hammer curls works your brachioradialis as well. Or your brachioradialis. And then your brachialis is like this muscle right here on the side of your biceps. But that's pretty much all I do for forearms. So I'm guilty of what you just said.
Yeah, I literally did lunges yesterday, and I just said I'm going to do super heavy, just like a few reps here and there. And the thing that was the limiting factor in my lunge was my forearm strength because I hadn't held on to a weight that heavy for that long.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah. I used to use straps, and now I don't use straps because I just was working on my grip strength, and now I mean my forearms are like heavy enough to carry the load on most weights. Still the limiting factor on things like shrugs though.
Yeah, yeah. If your forearms feel weak and are the limiting factor in a lot of your lifts, don't feel like it's something unnatural. It's very natural. The best way to get better at it is farmers carries or just doing more of that exercise until your forearms kind of catch up.
Hmm. Yeah. Or even like dead hangs from a pull-up bar where you just hold yourself as long as you can. Those are really good too.
100%.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's all the questions we had for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed and tune in again next week to the Xelik podcast, your one-stop shop for all things fitness and nutrition.